What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Brand to Table podcast. I'm your host, Henry Kaminsky Jr., your go-to for restaurant marketing and branding. And today I want to talk about something that I see constantly with restaurants, and it drives me absolutely bonkers. And that is the topic of social media. More specifically, the way most restaurants approach social media. Because I think a lot of restaurant owners have been trained to think about this completely backwards. They're asking questions like, what are we posting today? And that's usually the problem right there. Because I don't think the first question should ever be, what should we post? The first question should be, what does the business need right now? That's the number one question that changes everything. So if Tuesday nights are dead, that's the problem. If Sunday brunch needs more reservations, that's the problem. If one location is crushing it and the other location is struggling, that's the problem. If nobody knows that you cater, another problem. So once you know what problem you're trying to solve, now you can start figuring out what the marketing needs to look like. That's what I want to break down in today's episode. Because social media should not be this random hamster wheel we're constantly trying to feed Instagram just because somebody says that we need to post 4 times a week. That's not a strategy, that's activity. And there's a very big difference. So here's what happens with a lot of restaurants. The chef makes something look awesome. Somebody pulls out their phone, they take a video, they send it over to whoever handles social media, and they say, post this. And listen, there's nothing wrong with doing that once in a while. I get it. But sometimes spontaneous content is great. But when that becomes your entire marketing strategy, there's a problem there. Because now the kitchen is deciding your marketing strategy based on what happened to look good that day. And that's not how you grow your restaurant. The content should support the business. The business shouldn't have to figure out what to do with the content after the fact. And that's a huge distinction. When we work with restaurant clients at Brand to Table, I want to know what's happening in the business before we start talking about reels and photos and graphics and captions. What does next month look like? What days need the most help? What promotions are coming up? What menu items do we actually want to move? Are there any special events happening? Are we pushing brunch? Are we trying to grow lunch? Is there a catering opportunity here? We're heading into football season. What are we doing? Do we need to drive more online ordering? This gives the content direction. Otherwise, we're just making pretty stuff. And pretty stuff does not automatically put people in seats. And this is something I talk about all the time. Your content needs a job. That doesn't mean every single Instagram reel needs to say, buy now, reserve now, order now. Absolutely not. That comes across so generic and boring. Some content exists to build awareness. Some content exists to make somebody hungry. Another exists to show personality and behind the scenes. Some exists to create trust. Maybe you want to familiarize your audience with your team. At the end of the day, guys, you want to know why you should be creating this particular content. That's the difference. Because if you don't know what the content is supposed to accomplish, how the hell are you supposed to know whether it worked or not? Let's say you put out a reel about Sunday brunch. What's the goal? Is it views? Probably not, because they ain't going to pay the bills. The goal is to make somebody watching that reel say, that looks like somewhere I want to be on Sunday. Then ideally, they book the reservation. So now the video needs to support that outcome. I don't just want pancakes. I don't just want eggs. I don't just want a mimosa pouring in slow motion. I want people laughing. I want the dining room full. I want the bartender making drinks and smiling and the servers interacting with tables. I want the restaurant to feel alive. I want the restaurant to actually feel like it has a pulse, because you're not just selling brunch food. You're selling somebody's afternoon. That's a completely different way of thinking about restaurant. Food content is obviously important. You're a restaurant. Of course, people want to see the food. But sometimes restaurants get obsessed with food porn to the point where every post starts looking exactly the same. Burger, pizza, steak, cocktail, pasta. And eventually, it all becomes wallpaper. What makes somebody actually want to visit? It's the experience. It's seeing themselves there. Think about why people go out to eat. Yes, food matters tremendously, but they're also going out because it's date night. They're meeting up with their friends. They're watching the game. They're celebrating somebody's birthday. They're grabbing drinks after work. They're taking the family out. The restaurant is part of somebody's life. Great marketing helps the customer imagine themselves in that moment before they ever walk through the door. That's why one of the things we really focus on when we're shooting content is getting the restaurant in action. Give me the server dropping the plates. Give me the drinks hitting the table. Give me the kitchen moving. Give me somebody taking their first bite. Give me a packed bar during a game. We did this during the World Cup and it absolutely crushed. Give me the chef finishing the dish, because those moments are what really make the restaurant feel real. Here's another big one. Before you schedule a video shoot, know what the footage is going to be used for. I see restaurants spend good money on photographers, videographers, and then they get this massive folder back with hundreds of beautiful clips. And then 2 weeks later, everybody's asking, like, what are we going to do with this? You should know that before the camera ever comes out of the bag. If we know September's about football, then I need football content. If October has a big Halloween event going down, I need assets for that. If we're trying to grow weekday lunch, I need lunch content. If we're running meta ads, I might want different footage that I'm using for the organic Instagram feed. Now, one shoot could potentially give you weeks or even months of marketing assets. That is getting return on your investment. You're not hiring somebody to make cool videos. You're building a content library around the things that the restaurant actually needs to sell. That's how we think about shoots when we go out to restaurant clients. Now, this is especially important if you operate more than one location. Just because the restaurants share the same logo doesn't mean the marketing problem is the same. This is something we see all the time. One location might be packed on the weekends, but dead for lunch. Another location might have great lunch traffic, but needs help on Sunday nights. One location might be near office buildings. Another might be in a shopping center. Another might be near a college. Those are completely different customer behaviors. So if you're copying and pasting the exact same social media strategy across every location, there's a good chance you're leaving a ton of money on the table. You want consistency in the brand. Absolutely. I get that. But the campaigns can still be local. Maybe one location leans into college football. Maybe another leans into family dining. Maybe another pushes happy hour. The strategy should match the market. That's particularly important here in New Jersey because everything is super local. People don't think, where should I eat in New Jersey tonight? They think, what's good near me? What's good in Morristown? What's good in East Hanover? What's good near the mall? What's in the mall that I might want to try? What's good around the lake? That's how people make dining decisions. So your marketing really needs to reflect that. Another mistake I see is restaurants treating Instagram like it's their whole marketing department. It's really not, guys. Instagram is a channel. Facebook is a channel. Email is a channel. SMS text, channel. Google, channel. The real power comes when these things start working together. Let me give you a simple example. You have a special event coming up. You make a reel. Fantastic. Now you got awareness. Then maybe you put some meta ad dollars behind it to reach more people locally. Now somebody comments because they're interested. Awesome. Maybe a ManyChat automation sends them the registration link or the open table link. Then you send an email to your existing customer database. Maybe you follow up with SMS text reminders closer to the event. Now you're not hoping one Instagram post carries the entire campaign. Now you're actually building a system. And that's the way restaurants need to think about marketing. Not what should we post today, but how do we get the right message in front of the right people enough times to get them to take action? Completely different conversation. This is another thing that restaurant owners get caught up in. You post a reel, it gets 50,000 views, everybody gets pumped. Awesome. But let me ask you something. Did it drive business? Because views are great, reach is great, engagement is great. I'm not saying those things don't matter now. They do, but they're signals. They're not always the final outcome. If we're running a campaign for Tuesday nights, I care whether Tuesdays get busier. If we're promoting an event, I care how many people are registered. If we're promoting online ordering, I care whether those orders went up. If we're trying to grow the loyalty database, I care about signups. That's the stuff that matters. I'd rather get 8,000 views from people who live within 15 minutes of your restaurant and might actually walk through the door than 150,000 views from random people across the country, because clicks aren't going to pay the bills. Covers are going to pay the bills. Reservations are going to pay the bills. And I want to wrap this up with something that I think gets overlooked. Marketing is extremely powerful, but marketing is not magic. You can have the best social media strategy in the world and still lose if the restaurant experience sucks. Marketing can get somebody through the door, but the hospitality then has to take over. Your staff has to make the guests feel value. The food has to deliver. The drinks have to deliver. The restaurant has to be clean. The wait time has to make sense. Because if somebody has a bad experience, all we did with great marketing was help them find out faster that they don't want to come back. And that's why my philosophy has become really, really simple. Marketing gets people through the door. Hospitality makes them feel valued. Operations determine whether they come back. Those three things have to work together. And when they do, that's when you got something. So if you're a restaurant owner listening to this and your social media feels super random right now, here's what I want you to do. Don't start with Instagram. Start with the numbers. Look at your week. Where are the gaps? Where are the holes? Which days need the most help? What day parts need the most help? What offers are working? What promotions are coming up? What does the next 30 to 60 days look like for your restaurant? Then start building your content around those priorities. That alone will put you way ahead of a lot of restaurants out there. And the next time somebody on your team says, "What should we post today?" ask them, "What are we trying to accomplish?" Because that's the real question. All right, guys, I'm out. That's it for today. If you're running a restaurant here in New Jersey, or you operate multiple locations and you feel like you're constantly creating content, but you're not really sure whether the marketing is moving the business forward, this is exactly the stuff we help restaurants figure out at Brand to Table. We're not just here to fill your Instagram feed. We're here to build a marketing system around the actual needs of the restaurant. So if you want to learn more, head over to brandtotable.com, hit me up in the DMs. And if this episode gave you something useful, send it to another restaurant owner or operator who needs to hear it. I'll catch you guys on the next episode. Peace.